Here at Hardy's Cottage Garden Plants, we supply these various types of compost to our customers, and people are always asking us, what are they all for? What do we do with them all? And how are we going to use them? And why is the compost that we use at the nursery slightly different from the compost that you are going to get as a gardener? And really, at the end of the day, there's just a couple of differences. All the compost we use here at the nursery is Melcourt Silver Grow. So as a customer, you would buy Melcourt Silver Grow like this. So it is a beautiful bark-based, peat-free compost. Now, let's stop there. It is not a compost. Nothing that you use to pot up your plants to help your plants grow, i.e. what you use for your seeds and anything else, should be called compost. It should be called growing media. Compost is something that you make in your compost bins, made from scraps, made from cuttings, grass cuttings, leftover leaves, all of that. That is compost. That takes a long time for it to compost down and become a usable product for you to put on your garden. Growing media, such as what we have here, is something that is made by companies for you to be able to use for potting up your plants, for doing your cuttings in. So we need to get that out to people. I know it's quite difficult and we've all called them potting composts in previous years, but really they are growing media. Yeah? So the growing media that we use is the Melcourt Silver Bark. It is a bark-based product, and you can see in here it's quite fine. There are bits of bark in there, and the simple green bag, the multi-purpose that you would get from the garden centres or from us here at Hardy's Cottage Garden Plants, is a really good product for potting up, for using for making cuttings and seed sowing, etc. It differs from what we use as a professional compost. You see, I slipped into that again. It is different from what we grow as a medium for us because we have these funny little balls of Osmocote added into our potting media. This is slow release fertilizer, often known as, well, it is slow release fertilizer. So basically these tiny little pellets contain fertilizer in a casing which slowly allows those nutrients to come out, and it means that you don't have to add extra food to that potting medium. We use one which is 12 to 14 months with extra micronutrients in there. That is the only difference between what we grow in to what you get as a customer. So you can add that yourself because you can buy Osmocote. There are other products out there which are slow release as well. It's just the one that we happen to use. You can add that to your product when you get it home and mix it in, or you can use liquid fertilizer for any of your containers going through the season, and that way your plants will be healthy. The basic potting media comes with enough feed in there for about 4 to 6 weeks, so it's a good starter feed for all of your plants. So you're going to use this for potting on, you're going to use it for putting into big containers, and that's where it should be. It should be in containers. Do not use this in your garden. That is a waste of potting medium. All right, so the only difference between these two is the fact that we have added Osmocote in there. Then you go on to the one which is the same silver mix, but it's had John Innes number 3 added to it. Again, this is still peat free. This just gives you a slightly heavier potting medium and is actually really, really good. It's a very good moisture container, and it's good for those things like shrubs in containers. They really do well in this. You can also do cuttings in this if you wanted to. That's really up to you, but it's a really, really good form. So it's a little bit heavier, does mean that it keeps everything weighted down when they're in a container, but it's an excellent thing. And you can see just on the top of this, there is that sand which comes out of the John Innes in there. So this is really, really good, holds the moisture. These hold the moisture as well, but you'll just find you probably have to water a little bit more when it is the basic multi-purpose to when you've got the added John Innes. Then you get the John Innes itself. Now, traditionally, over 50 years ago, when the John Innes Institute came up with these different mixes, they all had peat in them. These, made by Melcourt, has no peat. This is just soil which has been made to be completely free of anything, so it is completely sterilised. It has some added sand, and instead of the peat, they're using a bit of their silver bark mix to make this into a peat-free John Innes, and this is John Innes number 3. John Innes number 3 is for your mature plants, so it is for potting on things which are mature plants. My problem with this is that as a child, I used to love making, you know, sort of mud castles, and you can play with this, and it really is great. And you know what? You can make it into a mud castle. Yay! There's a little kid in everyone, isn't there? And then lastly, of the ones that we have here at Hardy's is this one, which is the Farmyard. Now, the Farmyard is not a true manure because it has been nowhere near any animals whatsoever. This is from a digestate. So this is what you get left as the solid remains from these bio companies which are producing gas or oils, biofuels from maize and grasses. And this is the digestate that you're getting out of it. So it's a really good organic matter. They can't call it manure because it has been nowhere near an animal. So this is actually vegan friendly because this has not been anywhere there. It is completely free from having been through any animals, but it still gives you all of that great fibre. This is a product you put into the garden. This is one to help your soils. This is one to put into your vegetable plots and everything else. So this is known as Farmyard. Yeah? Don't worry about getting mucky hands. It's brilliant, just wonderful. So these are the different types of potting media plus the Farmyard that we have here at Hardy's that I would recommend for you for being able to use in your garden. So you're talking about things that are used for potting. You've got your silver mix with your added John Innes. You have your John Innes number 3. This is really a good one for raised beds, for mature plants. And then you have your Farmyard. This is for using and helping with your soil structure. So if you've got a heavy soil or you've got a light soil, then the Farmyard is brilliant for digging in or just leaving on the top over winter and allowing the worms to go through. The Farmyard will get you well aerated and it will encourage more worms into your garden. Worms are brilliant, so that is something to just understand and enjoy. Thank you very much for listening and watching this video. Please do subscribe to our channel.